Hello y'all, Wiggle here. It's in the afternoon. I'm working out in the greenhouse. It's about freezing outside and it's 68 in the shade. Yeah, 68 in the shade. So I'm recycling. You know, when you get your organic spring mix, organic spinach, you get them in these little containers. Well, I'm reusing these today. What I have is these pots I got it that were sitting out in the garden, just sitting out there, and they just have quote-unquote weeds growing in there. Well, just as they were, everything in there is edible. I have a common mallow, evening primrose, and chickweed in there, all of which are edible. But I'm going to be planting like carrots, lettuce and carrots in these pots. That way, because of the depth of the roots, the depth of the pot, planting really shallow rooted things, even though I know lettuce is shallow rooted, but I just want to put this greenhouse space to work. I'm taking the chickweed out of the containers and put out of the big pots, put them in these little containers, and I'm not leaving them where they can drain. So I'm just tossing them in there. And here's one I did last week, or approximately last week, and it's still moist. I'm going to give it a little splash. It's doing fine. Chickweed doesn't mind a little moisture. It prefers moist. I don't think it likes waterlogged, but it definitely likes moist. But one thing about this chickweed is the temperature is not going to kill it, and it's very edible. I have that space on the other side of these pots. I used to stagger the pots, but I find it is better that you can just get to things simply rather than just squeezing every bit of space. Leave it where it's easy to work and more enjoyable. If you get in here and it's real crowded and you don't have any elbow room, you're just not going to work on it as much. If it's enjoyable, then you'll get more done. So it's better to do less well. I'm finding that more and more in the greenhouse. It's packing everything you can in here. It's not very enjoyable. So anyway, this space up in front of my pots, I'm going to put this chickweed. It's not going to bother it if it gets cold. We're still in the cold part of the year, and it still gets cold in this greenhouse, and it gets really cold on the floor. But it's not going to hurt that chickweed at all. That chickweed, as long as I keep it watered, it is just going to thrive, and I'll be able to start eating it. With more and more daylight, it'll kind of kick itself into gear. It's kind of just sitting there. Once it kicks into gear, it grows rapidly once the temperature and the daylight is proper. I'm going to be just emptying out these pots, and then I'm going to fill these pots to within an inch or two of the top, and then I'm going to put carrots in there and lettuce, just to get some winter lettuce, just to start getting something growing, and then I'll have the chickweed filling in the little spaces. So I'll show you that later, but anyway, like this one's done. I'll put it down here like that, and it's not going to need anything else from me, and I'm not going to worry about it getting frozen down in that little trough where it gets colder. I'm just not going to worry about it. So I just water it every once in a while, just keep it moist, and I'll just put those kind of containers. So it's a better use of space, because that pot's going to butt right up again. I'm just making better use of the space, and I'm not tying up so much dirt and soil, which I do have, but I'm just, you don't need it. The chickweed just doesn't need that super deep roots. It needs 4 inches, and that's plenty for chickweed. So anyway, I'm gonna shift some dirt over into these pots. Maybe I'll just bring in some compost. I was holding off on that just because of the temperatures, and then we weren't very mobile with the wheelbarrow, but the wheelbarrow will be fine. I'll have the boys bring me in some of that. I gotta get these peppers. I heard people talk about not watering your peppers all winter. Don't do it. I killed them by not watering them. You gotta keep them at least somewhat. You want them to stay in dormancy, but you don't want them to dry out and die. So I guess the people that say don't water them at all, probably leaving them outside and they're getting some moisture. If they're in a greenhouse, you do have to water them. I mean, it's just stupid of me to not water them at all. But we'll see what lives. Some of them, they're not all dead. A lot of them I did lose. Anyway, I'll get those watered too. So as I'm working on this, I had a thought. I think I'm going to leave one pot just kind of way it came, because it has some Egyptian walking onions that just fell in there from the garden. They just fell in there on their own and started growing. I'm going to leave them. I got the common mallow, got the evening primrose, got a little wild geranium, and I've got chickweed. So I'm just going to let that all sit. That one I'm just going to let grow wild and see how it goes. And we'll try eating some of that when it becomes a little more lush. It's kind of just sitting there right now, so we'll let this thing fill out and just start eating out of it, see how it goes. So I did want to tell you something about this chickweed. There's a lot of different places to identify it, make sure of what it is, but one important thing to know is that if it has hair all over it, that's not the one you're looking for. That'll be mouse ear chickweed. You don't want mouse ear chickweed. So make sure it's not all hairy. If you want to look close, it's going to have hairs on one side, and then to the next node it'll switch over and have hairs on the other side. It has one little fine line of hairs alternating back and forth between nodes. That's the one you want to eat. There's other ways to identify it, breaking the stem and seeing the little stem within the stem. I guess I'll just show you hopefully. Anyway, can you see that little stem within the stem? If you see that, that's a pretty good identifier. There's not any other plants really like that. And it's low growing. It's got these heart-shaped leaves, heart-ish shaped. And you can see the little lines of hairs back and forth on it. It's pretty easy to identify. You probably have it in your area. And I wanted to say, not only is it a choice edible, it's easy to grow, it's easy to transplant. You go out and find it somewhere, grab it up, take it, put it in your garden, put it in your planter bed, your pot, put it in a little salad container, put some decent dirt, keep it moist, and you're going to have a lot of food. It's highly nutritious, easy to grow. It's a weed. It grows like a weed. So why not have something you can eat? If you're going to have an edible, why don't you want your edibles growing like weeds? It's better than what you can buy at the store as far as nutrition. It's easier to grow. It won't take over your garden. You think it will until it gets hot, and then it all dies. So you just have to put up with it in the cool months taking over your garden. Well, boo-hoo, you have food. Easy to grow food, always at the disposal. So just do that. You can grow more than you could ever eat. It's easy, and it tastes good. It's a choice food, really. I cannot recommend this one enough. Chickweed. Put it in your greenhouse, put it in your windowsill, put it in your planter boxes, put it everywhere. Put it in your yard. Grow it under the trees. Put it in the alley. Just everywhere you can. As long as you can keep it in a clean environment, it's good to go. Don't put it somewhere where a dog's going to pee on it, and it's going to get a lot of smog, or you're going to get runoff from somebody's yard that's using nothing but pesticides. And you don't want runoff. You want it to be in a place that you can control what's in it. You don't want to absorb in any of that nasty stuff. So put it in a safe environment and just let it grow. It grows in the winter. It grows in the spring. It grows in the fall. It grows like crazy in spring. It just takes over, and why fight it? If you're going to pull it out and put it on a plate and eat it. So I'll stop now. Chickweed, get you some. Hey, we're here. Marsh Tucker playing. Good old song. So what I'm going to do today, what I'm working on is, well, for one, I'm getting this ready to be my recording area. I got a little organizing to do. But for today, I'm going to get this stuff right here out of the way. I'm going to take this shelf out of here and get this, try to get this middle area all open. I've got like 2 extra pots. It's kind of a pain, but I'm going to get a table set up out here and bring the kids out. We're going to play a game of Monopoly or something. Make them get some sun on them. It's 70 degrees in here. It's wonderful, considering the temperature outside. Get some sunlight on us. So we're going to bring the truck over and clear some of this stuff out of the way, and then bring in a couple loads of compost to top off these. Instead of transferring, I'm just going to fill them all the way up. I was going to reduce the number of pots, but I'm going to just go ahead and fill them. Maybe I'll move the 2 extras over to the other greenhouse. That's what I'll do. I'll take that red one out of here. It doesn't match. And I'll take one of these other ones, put over in the big greenhouse, because I want to have this whole middle open. Like I was saying, I don't want to crowd it. I want to feel it open. And you know, I have that patio in that other greenhouse, but why not just use this one? This one's closer to the house, easier to get to, and it gets sun longer at the end of the day than the other one. The other one's in the shadow of the house a little bit at the end of the long winter days, short winter days, but the long shadows. This one, the sun's going to come right in here until the end, so that's cool. So I'm going to just clear this out, then I'm going to force the children to come play a game of Monopoly with me. And we may not even move it all, just going to put it in the back of the truck for the day. I'm leaving the table. I'm going to bring another table here and just move a few things. So cool. I want to hurry while it's still warm and sunny and get the kids out here and get some sun on them.